For about 2 years now, I've been mostly training at home. What I mean by mostly is I'll mostly train at home, but 2 days a week I'll have practice at the gym. But straight to the topic, I just want to talk about what I learned mentally and physically with mostly training at home. First thing I'm going to talk about is physical, how it changed me physical with mostly training at home. Basically, changed everything. Stamina, endurance. I was able to mostly work on what I want to work on instead of at my dojo where just say one class, they'll just tell me what to do and I won't be able to work on a muscle or stamina, endurance, stuff like that. So at home, this was like a huge change, a huge opportunity to focus on what I need to focus on, fix out my errors and become better every single day. One thing I also want to say is that I also got pretty much better at home than at my dojo. For me, for instance, my dojo, I don't want to put any disrespect on it, but wasn't the best, wasn't like there just pointing out like what I needed errors for, because I mostly figure out the mistakes I had at home than at my dojo. But I would say definitely for me, I definitely got better at home than at my dojo, just working on technique, endurance, stamina, muscle endurance, just working out overall. And it's just like I'll say I got 2 times better than people there. I'm gonna say humbly, but I just want to say I mostly took it seriously than the other kids at the dojo. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I really got better at it. But I'm not gonna completely say that I mostly got better at home, but I also did get better at my dojo. Thankfully, I got the help from my coach that I needed, point out my errors, and I was able to go home and work on it a lot, instead of just only working on it at the gym. But that's basically all I have to say for physically. But now I just want to get into mentally, what it taught me mentally about training mostly at home. One thing it taught me about is I'm not relying on my coach telling me to push harder. Instead of relying on myself, my own mental toughness, and to push myself through that level. I had to push myself to, let's just say, for a wrestling workout, and tell me how to push myself throughout that workout. Because I would usually just stopping around, just, stand up, take a break, give myself a little break. But now recently, after all this training at home, I've gotten used to it. My mind got tougher, and I can tell myself to stay in stance. It's telling myself continuously, and that's basically one of the ways I'm able to grow mentally. Another way I was able to build my mental toughness was just doing the things that I hate. Let's just say I mostly hate doing wrestling at home. I would do wrestling at home, practicing wrestling at home. Staying in stance is basically the hardest for me because your legs start to burn out. So I would mostly do that so I can condition my mind to stay in that stance, go throughout the workout and push myself to my limit. And yes, the most important thing I forgot to mention is discipline. Discipline is very important for mental toughness. Just setting up a schedule and staying consistent with that schedule. Even myself, I did have difficulties with staying consistent with my schedule because one day I'll tell myself, let's just train 6 times a week, and I will take 2 days off during that week when I'm supposed to be training 6 times a week. And I'm not gonna lie about, I'm not perfect and all, but I do have, mistakes, what I'm saying? I do make off days when I'm not supposed to, but discipline and just making sure that, again, that consistent training will build that mental toughness. And just one thing I learned is just that, on the road, where you're trying to build yourself to greatness, it's really going to be lonely. It's going to be ups and downs. That's one thing for me I noticed. And I remember those ups and downs, I would just crash, and, I would just skip a day because it got too lonely, what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you guys, just make sure to get through that stage. That stage, it's gonna be hard, but you have to push through that stage and stay consistent, no matter how you feel throughout the days. And just one more thing, I also want to include about mentally, just no matter how many times you fall, and go same thing for me, from my experience, always get back up and go for it again. Don't beat yourself because you skipped one day. You know what I'm saying? All right, I admit, I take accountability that I skipped this one day. You know what I'm saying? Just because of how I felt, I'm about straight back at it. And just basically just forgive yourself, take accountability, and go back on the grind. That's all it's about. And just another thing I just want to say is that how I built my routine, my training routine at home, is I mostly used AI, because AI, it's not only for just, school or helping you with homework. It really could benefit you, give you good advice for training at home, doing MMA at home, and I found that, like, once I figure out AI can do that, I was just like really shocked. And ever since then, I just been using the AI. But before, I think I would just like, look up some, let's just say I'll just do a regular three round shadow boxing, conditioning before that. It's something basic, but when I found AI, I could tell AI that I have errors that my coach pointed out, and I need a drill that can help me fix these errors.